Hey guys, Justin Vidito here. Over the years, I've gotten a lot of requests for doing a bug out bag video. And I've been really leery of doing that for a few reasons. One is because it really depends to me, it really depends on your skill level and of what you put in a bag. And then also, it really depends on what you do in your daily life. If you're constantly out in the woods versus, constantly, in an urban scenario. So I personally break my bags down into hour periods. So this bag that I'm going to show you today is more of a 0 to 24-hour bag. So I'm not really concerned about water, food, stuff like that. I'm concerned about staying alive long enough to get back to a more sustainable bag. So I also have a big backpack that has stuff that would last me for anywhere from 3 days to a week. So we're just going to go through some of the stuff that we have here in the bag, and I'll try and break down my mentality of why I carry some of the things I do and stuff like that. So first of all, the bag itself, this is just a cheap sling bag from Walmart. I don't really recommend black as a camouflage color, but it does, for a lot of reasons, it blends in. It doesn't raise a lot of suspicion if you're carrying around in the city, stuff like that. Now when you get in the woods, you may, if you're trying to camouflage yourself for some reason, you may want to find something that you can put over it, or spray paint it, whatever. So I really like, for a short-term bag, I really like the sling bag approach. The reason for this is that I can carry it on my back and then pull it around and access anything I need to access without taking it off, putting it back on, stuff like that. So for me, I really like this approach. I've carried a civilian sling bag for years. Not really as popular in the States, but over in Europe, pretty much everybody has one, so you blend in really well. And then as well, having a quick detach so that I can ditch it if I absolutely need to. So we'll kind of go from the main compartment on out. So the first thing for me, and this is kind of a dual approach bag, so this could work for in an urban scenario or in the woods if I needed it to. So the first thing is just a simple rain jacket, and it's a neutral tone gray. So this would work equally well in the city or out in the woods. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy, just having something to keep the rain off, or snow, or whatever, if it is pouring down. The second thing kind of going on with the shelter mind frame is a simple emergency blanket. Now you want to be careful with these. Make sure you get a really durable one. There's a bunch of companies that make them, but you want something that you could use as an improvised shelter as well, not just that's going to tear apart if you start moving it around. The other thing that I usually try to keep on me is a good fixed blade knife. Now this is not one of my best knives, but the nice thing about this one, the way I have it set up, this ESEE 4, so it'll do pretty much anything I need to do if I don't have another fixed blade on me. But the way I have this set up with Velcro, it actually will attach in here. So if I decide that I want to, I'm in the woods or whatever, I need to have that accessible, then I can actually slip it down in here and have it more accessible. If I'm in the city, I don't want to raise, have a 4-inch fixed blade knife on me, or have everybody see that, then I'll simply have it inside the pack. The next thing, and this is actually a gift from a good friend of mine, but inside of here is actually a grappling hook and then knotted tubular nylon. So this may seem a little crazy, but I highly recommend at least some sort of rope or tubular nylon that's knotted to be able to get you up and down obstacles. So, you know, if I needed to get down off a 2-story, you know, ledge or something like that, I could do that safely. Or if I needed to get up, you know, a rock cliff or something or down, then I could do that safely and not have to worry about breaking a leg or something like that. So at the very least, I would recommend, you know, having some tubular nylon. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with this as well. One of the big ones that for me has kind of become, you know, back and forth, you know, most of my friends carry a firearm 24/7. I personally don't. It really depends on the situation in which I find myself. But so I have generally my Glock 19 here inside of the bag, or if I feel that I need to, I'll have it on me. Now I know there's a lot of debate on, you know, especially with gun people, on whether you should always carry or whatever. That's my personal choice. I'm not encouraging anyone not to carry or anything like that, but I do feel having a firearm within a short distance, you know, in an emergency situation can be a huge advantage. So if you're going to carry a firearm in there, I would highly recommend also keeping a holster in with it. If you don't want to carry, you know, on your person, keeping a holster in with your bag so that you can upgrade your level of whatever you want to call it. But so there's that. So that pretty much completes the main pocket here. Then I'll go out to the outside pockets. These are a little bit more accessible, especially with, like I said, the sling bag. So the first thing I have on top of here is a tourniquet and then an emergency bandage. Medical stuff is super important. And let me sit down here. So medical stuff is super important. You know, anything from being out in the woods and, you know, falling down, breaking a leg, you know, the last thing on earth, you know, anything to that from, you know, getting shot. But you want to be able to treat those medical emergencies, you know, as soon as possible and not have to, you know, pull some crazy stuff out. The next is my fire kit. We'll probably do a video later on about what's actually in here, but the most important thing is that with the stuff in this kit, I can get a fire going no matter what, anytime, whether it's pouring down rain, snow, whatever's going on. I have the resources in here to be able to get a fire going anytime. And that's very important, because especially during cold weather, you know, hypothermia kicks in, and you know, very, very quickly, and if you need a fire, you need it right now. So having something, you know, that can get that fire going immediately could be hugely important. All this stuff, you know, we're talking about stuff that's going to either help you out or keep you alive very, very quickly if you're in an emergency situation. It's not necessarily like good to have stuff, if that makes sense. The other thing, you know, that I'll keep is 2 different types of cordage. I personally like bright colors, that way I can see what I've done with it and not lose it. And then I have some OD green cordage as well, and that stuff's obviously handy for a multitude of things. One of the other things that I always keep, an emergency flare. I'm sorry. Got a little cough, but you know, something like this, I could use this to get a fire going, or, you know, signal if I'm in distress. But always like to have that. It weighs a little bit, but it's worth it if you absolutely need it. And then on the outside pocket here, I have a wire saw. Not the greatest thing in the world, but it is nice to have. Doesn't take up any room, and nice to have if you need to cut down something a little bit more substantial. So in this other outside accessible pocket, I have a little small monocular. It's a 10 power monocular, so this gives me the ability to see things further away than what I can with my naked eye. Doesn't take up that much room, and I think you don't really realize how much magnification is important or can help you out until you start using it. And this is one of the things that I really use a lot, just to be able to expand my reach of how far I can see. Also in here, extra magazine for the pistol that's loaded with self-defense rounds. This is another one. So I actually have two flashlights in here. This one is a Surefire. It's really bright, and it's a weapon mounted light. So this will attach to my pistol. That's where I could use it like that. But I don't keep it on my pistol. The reason for that is if I need to use this really bright light and I don't want to go flagging my pistol around, I can still use it as a handheld device. But if I don't need, you know, super bright stuff, I'm just, you know, looking around, you know, inside my vehicle or something like that, I also keep a little bitty, you know, just small flashlight to be able to use for smaller stuff as well. So light can be very, very important, and one of those things also that you don't realize until you don't have it. Another thing that I always have, Leatherman. So not only, you know, having the pliers, but all the little tools, anything from, you know, screwdrivers to a file to a knife, you know, all that stuff comes in really handy, you know, especially if you're in an urban environment. You know, this can, if you're going to carry one thing, I would probably recommend having a Leatherman. The other thing that I have, and this is kind of one of those things that directly relates to your skill level, and then also your what's the word? Also your inherent ethics, right? So this is a lockpick set, and I won't touch on this too much. However, this coupled with my ability to pick locks, I only use for, you know, if I was in a dire emergency situation, i.e. I'm gonna die and I need to get in somewhere that I can't, you know, simply, you know, break a door down or whatever. So, you know, I really shy away from teaching lock picking or anything like that, because, you know, it could very easily be used for ill purposes. But if you have the skill level and, you know, you're on an ethical balance that you're not going to use it for ill will, this can be a very handy tool. And then a compass. You know, so one of the things that I talk about quite a bit is that, you know, emergency situations, a lot of times you're either just lost and you need to find your way back home, or, you know, you're hurt, which comes into the medical stuff. So I try to always have a compass, you know, in my bags, and in my bigger bag I have another compass. You know, as far as the 72, oh, I'm sorry. And then I also have just a bottle of water. So, you know, this is just kind of to get me by. If I need to use this bottle of water, it's going to be very, very sparingly. You know, I'm not just going to chug it down. So again, this bag, you know, for me personally, is a get me there bag. It's not, I'm not going to take this out in the woods and live forever, but, you know, these are some things that could sustain my life long enough to get back to, you know, safety, or to get back to, you know, my bigger bag that that can help me, you know, for up to a week. So the other thing about my bigger bag, and you know, we'll do a video on that later on, but the bigger bag, you'll see a lot of things that are very, very similar, or that are, you know, an exact duplicate of some of the things that I have in this smaller bag. The reason for that, for me, is that if I need to get to that bag quickly, I might not have the time to take this bag and take the stuff out of it and put it in the other bag. So I can just grab it and go whichever bag is nearer and fits the application that I'm looking for. So that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions on why I carry something or why I don't carry something, please comment, and I'll try to answer them as much as I can. Hope you guys have a great day.